God body is simple. It means you see God when you look in the mirror, and that the body of man is God, and that there's no mystery God in the sky. You are God.
Hey, welcome. We're here with another incredible episode of the Anabolic Mind, where we get folks from all walks of life to talk about how they incorporate wellness into their lifestyle. And with that, I am very happy to have on my last week's workout victims and victim. Only had one victim. I didn't get to you yet, Derek.
I supervised.
But yeah, he assisted actually. Shout out to Derek for training on our last attack. But we got CEOs of pothead parents and all around awesome folks. Let's give them a hand. Woo! Ain't nobody here, so it's just me clapping.
I love it. That's all about you. It's fine.
Hey, let's have you guys introduce yourselves, and then we can get right into it.
Yeah, go ahead, Ben.
I'm Derek and Missy Fogarty. We are the pothead parents. That is who we are and kind of our lifestyle. So there's a lot to us, but long story short, we've grown up in Buffalo, New York, lived there, born and raised, and we just moved to Las Vegas about 60 days ago. So everything is all happening at once, which is huge. But we have a lot of great opportunities in front of us. So our whole goal is we're cannabis educators for parents, for veterans, pretty much anybody that's looking to get into cannabis, that has questions, that just wants to listen to something different and kind of, a no bullshit kind of podcast and lifestyle. But we have a pretty in-depth, longer story about our children. It kind of led us into cannabis and how it saved us as a couple. And just our mental health and just trying to help everybody and just anybody we can with mental health, physical health, and just being a parent, because it is tough shit. It is not easy.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
As a parent, I definitely agree with you with that. But go ahead, Melissa. Let's hear your intro.
Yeah, no. So I'm Missy. I'm the mom of the pothead parent situation that we have going on here. But like he was saying, we just love to talk and educate on not only cannabis, but how it's used, what its benefits are medicinally, recreationally. We try to educate from the silliest thing, but the most basic thing of, even smoking from a bong to how to
where do I
roll a joint.
Anything.
Yeah. I mean, going to a dispensary. We are just starting out with this business, and we just want to incorporate our lives day to day as parents, as individuals, as a couple, and then also the mind, body, and wellness that we've incorporated with cannabis.
All right, hey, that's dope. And that's definitely a subject that's near and dear to my heart as a vet and as a fitness enthusiast. So you guys, I'm definitely happy for you to be here. Thank you for coming on. And what is your, oh yeah, man, my pleasure. What's your origin story? I want to hear each of you guys' journey, and then I want to talk about how you guys met. So we'll talk about let's hear the origin stories, because like superheroes, like the X-Men. So what's your origin story?
Like I said, born and raised Buffalo, New York. Nothing crazy. Middle school, high school, local college. I decided right after going to ECC, which is our local community college in Buffalo. School just still wasn't my soup of the day, call it. I just decided to stay in the car business, which is where I started when I was 15, just taking out trash, moving cars, kind of just the grunt work. But I decided to go into the Marine Corps when I was 21. So I was relatively a couple of years older than your normal, 17, 18-year-old kid going in there. But I just needed a change of pace. I needed not a wake-up call. I wasn't, a drug addict or anything, but I just needed a change of pace. So I was in the Marine Corps from 2009 to 2015. Deployed to Afghanistan in 2010, 2011 into Marja, Afghanistan, which is southern Helmand province, Afghanistan. So came back after that deployment, didn't deploy again, then got out a couple years later. But kind of where my story starts is getting out of the Marine Corps, which is where a lot of vet story starts, unfortunately, and it's never really a good one either. You come back with back pain, neck pain, migraines, PTSD, and, everything else that comes with it. You go right to the bottle, you go right to the pills, and you go right to the VA, because that's all you know. And that's just, what it is. And I'm sure not if you can personally, understand that, but I'm sure, guys and just anybody in the military that's been through it. But, I got hooked on pain pills real fast. I was at the point where I was going to 3 different doctors and not telling any of the doctors about it, because once you get that addiction, it's something hard. You can't kick it. And when you go to kick it, you're literally going to die or feel like you're going to die from the withdrawal from it. So, when I couldn't get the pills, I was drinking to, put off everything else just to go to bed. And then I realized I had a serious problem one day when I ended up in the emergency room, and the doctor thought I tried to kill myself because of where my blood alcohol content was and where, I guess, the levels, I don't know, of respiratory or wherever I was because of the pills I was on. So, I tried to get off.
How long ago was that?
That was back in 2012, 13, 14. It was kind of in that gap. And then we got together in 2015, 16.
Yeah.
Our 5-year anniversary is in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Our
Should know
wedding
that, right?
anniversary.
5 or 6 years, right?
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks.
you.
But at the point where we met, I was trying to stop drinking and get off of pills, and she was too. And it just kind of just jived together where, like, we didn't have alcohol in the house. You drink, do your thing. I don't care. Like, that's, I'm not one to care about that, but it just wasn't, I had to kick it for a lot of things. But that's kind of where Missy came in. We met back in 2011, I think. I was in the car business. I actually sold her.
Oh, no. That was like almost 10, 11 years ago.
Yeah, 2011.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Time flies, man. It's crazy.
Oh, my God. Yeah. I'm like, geez.
I sold her first car. So she was actually a referral to me, a friend of a friend. Sold her car, never talked again, no nothing. And then, we both went our separate ways. I had a relationship. She had a relationship. They both ended. And then we just kind of ran into each other on social media, and the rest is kind of history. But I'll let Missy go into hers a little bit more. But my goal is just veteran-wise is to get guys off of pills, teach them how to get off of the pills, get on into cannabis, into CBD. Just, it's a weird transition, but it is possible. And I just want to help anybody that can do that.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Thanks for your service. Let's hear your origin story, Missy.
Yeah, so I grew up in the South Towns, so he was the North Town kid. I was a South Town kid, and we never met or anything. So I have no idea who Derek was. But growing up, I was very much into sports. I was very athletic. I played to win. That's like the Schuster motto in our family. So I would play ice hockey, football, anything my brother played, I was into it. So that geared me really into fitness. When I graduated high school, I didn't play any sports in college or anything. School really wasn't my thing either. I finally realized, that first year of college that those struggles that I was having in school was actually ADHD. I had a couple of learning disabilities related in, English and reading and mathematics. So it was interesting to know, that all those years that school wasn't my thing, there was more to it. So it allowed me to understand myself a little bit better. But that was also a time where I was getting into drinking and partying and losing myself at the same time. Like Derek said, we were in different relationships when we first had met. And unfortunately, a lot of those were toxic and unhealthy for me. That really changed me as a person. I was very depressed. I certainly feel like that's where I developed this type of anxiety. And then also, I lost myself drinking. And like Derek said, as we I had gotten older and around the same time that I had met Derek, that's when I stopped drinking. That's when I got back into fitness full time. I started becoming a fitness instructor, doing cycling classes. I ended up getting an opportunity to open up my own studio, which was amazing. And then that evolved into me working with the community on a larger scale, which was amazing to be able to do that, which then evolved into me help co-chair and run last year. And it was our second year, Ice Cycle, which was a amazing cycling event, you know, out in the Buffalo weather, all to raise money for
cold.
Roswell Park. Yeah. Buffalo weather it's cold. It's cold. Yeah. Excuse me.
I've done some motorcycle rides up in Buffalo, and definitely.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Right by the water.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It gets cold. So yeah, it was amazing to be able to do that because we were able to raise $400,000 for Roswell Park Cancer Institute for their genetics department. And so to be able to be a part of that and work on that, all from just riding a bike and quitting, you know, alcohol and meeting someone that appreciated me and cared for me and loved me the way I deserved, you know, all played into, you know, who we are and who I am now. With that being said, like Derek was bringing up, we, you know, evolved into cannabis around the same time. You know, like I said, stopped drinking. So at first, I definitely think cannabis was recreational for us. Mm-hmm. We had just gotten into, you know, this fun, loving, you know, amazing relationship. We were smoking for fun. We really weren't, you know, I wouldn't say smoking day to day or like throughout the day.
First, couldn't handle it.
Yeah. It wasn't
2 days.
Yeah, like it wasn't really, you know, something that kept us maintained like it does now. And then, you know, we had kids and we were using cannabis on a more medicinal healing level for ourselves. Mental. 2 and 1.
2.5. Well, I say 2.5, 1.5. They're like 2 months away from their birthday. So
3 and 2, boy and girl.
No,
boy
2 boys.
2 boys.
Almost Irish twins are 14 months apart. So
yeah,
they are boys. Bumps, bruises, cuts.
They're nuts.
All over.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely.
Every time they come back in, I'm like, what the hell happened? Just, you know, cuts all over the place. So.
Yeah. But like,
go ahead, Missy. Go ahead.
Sorry, no, I'm so sorry. So like Derek was saying, we, long story short, like Jackson and Gavin both had some medical issues and struggles, and you know, Jackson is blind in one of his eyes now. On our podcast, we definitely go into it. I would love to talk to you more if you're interested or whatever.
Oh yeah,
but
for sure.
Such a long story that, you know, I would love to talk to you more, but it became healing for us as a relationship with cannabis and as a relationship with each other.
We're learning to live in a hospital pretty much.
Yeah.
We were there for weeks at a time, 24/7. We actually got quarantined in a room for 4 days because of COVID. Like, I mean, wow. you learn how to like go sneak out and smoke and come back, and like pretty much just how to keep yourself at bay. There's big medical decisions you got to make for these kids. And it's like, people say, oh, you were high when you made it. I got news for you. If I was on pills or in an angry state of mind, it probably would have been a whole different decision. So
yeah, and we say this all the time. It saved our relationship for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I understand why parents with kids with disabilities, I say this all the time, you know, have, not everybody, but have trouble in the relationships that end up getting divorced. Like it's stressful.
It's a fucking struggle.
Not only is your kid sitting there and you're like, is this kid going to make it? Like you're worried about your relationship going to make it while, you know, everything's going on. So, cause
it's always tense. You're tense when a doctor walks in, you're tense, you know, looking at each other and wondering what the doctor is going to say. How is he going to react? How am I going to react? It's just so tense that it creates just this anxiety, and it created PTSD in ourselves with the boys. It was a lot. And so, like he said, being able to go outside and, smoke a joint and like take a breath and allow it to give us a moment to digest what the fuck is going on and how we are going to, take it over as a couple and handle it and be there for our sons. There was a time, we didn't even see our youngest after I had just given birth to him because, Jackson, our oldest, had an infection in his eye and we were in the hospital for a month. So, it was a lot. And so
it all happened in a 2-year period. It was just like boom, boom, boom. And it was a rough roller coaster for a while, but it allows you, like, cannabis wise, to, instead of being in a hospital and making a life changing, altering decision on your child who's, a couple of weeks old, instead of making a decision while you're, 1, depressed and sad and not clearly thinking, or 2, pissed off and angry at the doctors, because we've been there and we've got stories about that, taking that step away to breathe, to smoke, to eat a gummy, to whatever, and just chill and get back to that neutral allows you to say, hey, all right, let's figure this shit out. Like, how many times we just sat in the car and just smoked and said, listen, one of the nurses is watching the kids because they're sleeping. Just, okay, we do this. What happens? If we don't do it, what happens? Like, I can tell you, for me being old Derek, if I was making decisions the other way, it would have been a whole different situation. So it's literally and essentially saved our kids too. And it could have been a lot worse for them. Like my grandfather always says, I'll talk about later, but it's helped us just have a clear head.
Yeah. And now I feel as though it's allowed us to create new space and create what Pothead Parent is. It's allowed us to freely talk and create ideas. I just feel like it's expanded our minds, our mindsets, especially after what we've been through, on an individual basis. And then as a couple, as parents, it's allowed more for us, I feel.
We just want to show people it's possible to be a pothead or a stoner and be successful and be a normal, good parent and not have that taboo of, you're laying on the couch eating Cheetos and playing video games. I would love to do that every single day. Don't get me wrong. But you're a parent, you got 2 kids, their lives depend on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's because everybody has so much of a stigma when it comes to marijuana. And when you tell people you're parenting and you're smoking, they give you that look. Like,
like that.
God, what are you doing? But so many people are addicted to food, addicted to pills, and addicted to things that are legal. And just because they're legal, it doesn't mean that you're not an addict. Now that marijuana has been legalized, I think people are looking at it, from a totally different perspective. But I wanted to ask, when do you guys, when did you figure out like this is something that you could do entrepreneurial? Because we have a lot of viewers on the Anabolic Mind who are entrepreneurs. And I'm always encouraging people to follow their passion in their entrepreneurial endeavors so that they're more successful, because they don't mind putting the time in and the work in, because it's something that they're actually emotionally involved in, as opposed to just doing something for money. So when did it become when did you guys get the idea like, hey man, we could actually make a living doing
I'll let her take the reins on this. This is your typical, I worked a 9 to 5 for the last 12 years. We had a good life. Everything was just kind of, 1, 2, 3, 4. She came to me with this idea. I said, you're nuts. I'm not doing it. Go away from me. Leave me alone. I'm going back to work. And I just kept telling her, like, you're nuts. You're nuts. And then she just kept grinding away at it and kind of showing me the light here and here and here and here. And then I'll let her explain it to you. But
yeah, I first started by creating a mom community in Western New York that kind of got a little bit of publicity or quick numbers. So it allowed more moms to join in. And that created a space that I wasn't aware could be possible on social media, because that was there to help me with some of the struggles I was going through as a new mom, and now a new mom of 2 LGBTQ and one with disabilities. And so being able to create that and seeing that that was a success allowed me to then evolve all these ideas that I've had. I mean, between me being a cycling instructor to becoming an owner to directing, a gym's cycling program, and then, leaving that to become a mom and helping other businesses that were local with their social media because I was having success on mine locally, just little success, but it made a big difference to a lot of these small businesses. I really dug into social media and the benefits and the positives that can come from it when it's a marketing standpoint. That started with me understanding, you need to find your niche and you need to, dive in fully with them and give them your heart and soul and your real fucking energy through your phone or your computer so that they really feel you because what you're giving off is genuine. Once you start fucking doing that on social media, that's when you create an authentic, real audience. And that audience are customers to you, to what you're trying to be, what you're trying to sell, what kind of brand you are trying to give off. And that doesn't have to be based on money or, monetary. It could just be on wanting to do more for the world, right? Or do more for your community, for your family, for whatever it is. So with that, I started thinking more into the fact that me and Derek felt alone. And I felt as though, all of my friends would go out fucking drinking with us and have families or not, but the second that we would be walking up with a J to, a family fire or like just a group setting and smoke our pen or bring a drink along, we look like assholes, or we walk away from our, I'm walking away from the kids and Derek's with the boys, but like they can see me and, I'm a degenerate.
Right.
So I was a pothead. And my mom, my dad, they never agreed with it growing up. It wasn't until they met Derek and I was evolving with it too. It wasn't just a recreational thing. They were seeing that we were using it in a positive way and it was helping us, that they started understanding it a little bit more. So I was noticing that if I can talk and educate and give people the truth of what cannabis was doing for me, what it could do for Derek, because he was super open about it too, that, with social media, I just felt like there was something there. And I don't know what it is, but the brand per se, just kind of came to me and the name, and I wanted it to be a name that,
it's relatable,
but controversial in a sense. I want people to call me a fucking pothead and see how successful I am going to be being a pothead and how successful he has been being a pothead. So that was me creating what Pothead Parent was, but it's so much more than what a brand is. We want to help. We want to educate. We want people to lose this taboo of what being a pothead is. And then also learn, maybe I do want to stop drinking and try cannabis or, try
to help their parents.
Yeah,
we've had people that have, their parents are on cancer meds or going through chemo and they feel like garbage, and the only thing that helps them not be nauseous is cannabis or CBD. So it's the crowd is literally from 0 to 100. I mean, it's everybody.
Right.
Our body has a cannabinoid system, as you know. We don't have a alcohol system or a Xanax system in your body. You know what I mean? Like it's in your body.
Right.
Can you
So
explain to the audience what the difference is between CBD and cannabis? Just for
Yeah,
people
so
out there who
your
don't know.
CBD and THC are going to be your two different things. So CBD, the easiest way I explain it, it's not the technical term, is like Diet Pepsi and Pepsi. Like Pepsi is going to be THC. Like you get the sugar, you get the high, you get the whole body feel, you're good. Like, hey, I'm stoned. CBD, you don't get the high, you don't get the, hey, I'm stoned, but it gives you all the medicinal benefits that marijuana does. So like inflammation, which is huge with working out, like my joints are shot. CBD helps with joints, skin, your brain, sleeping, your immune system, everything. And THC also helps, but that's more of the kind of psychoactive of helping you just, kind of relax and let go and the pain and nausea and all that stuff.
Anxiety, depression,
Yeah.
that's what you're going to get from the THC. And then again, like he was saying with the CBD, it helps a little bit with, anxiety, but not to the point that the THC can, bring to the table. And then that third component are terpenes. And so that's what melts together CBD, THC, and brings that all
Smells,
together.
the highs, that's everything. So, and they're doing a lot more research on that now. There's three different main ones. I forget the technical terms because I am not a doctor. I am not a chemist. I am just a very experienced stoner and parent. So, but there's 100 different things you could smoke. Like the three of us could smoke, this certain stuff, and all of us are completely different. You could want to go for a 5-mile run. I'll take a nap and she'll hang with the kids. Like everybody's completely different, but a good way to get into the cannabis world, as I call it, and kind of how I did it was starting with CBD. Take it at night because it's going to make you sleepy. You're not going to get high. You're not going to see anything. You're not going to trip like everybody thinks you are. You're literally going to yawn and probably take the best sleep of your life. But kind of ease into it with that. If you wake up in the morning a little groggy, kind of take half of it. And then you can slowly start getting into marijuana and kind of feel it out from there. But again, it's not for everybody. If you want to learn about it, we're here. If, good, bad, whatever it may be.
Yeah. We always just say low and slow.
Yeah. Very.
I hear you. That's good advice. What was your athletic background before joining the Marine Corps, Derek?
I played baseball, football throughout high school, middle school, little league, the whole 9 yards, travel baseball. I was supposed to go to college and play baseball, one of the only regrets I have on life, but what are you going to do? But I did a lot of martial arts too, Krav Maga, Muay Thai, like jiu-jitsu, a whole bunch of that stuff, boxing. So I was into kind of the more violent, like, in your face kind of sports like football, and just kind of working out. And then I was actually, I was just telling Barbara this the other day, I was 6 months out of getting my black belt in Krav Maga and decided to join the Marine Corps. So that is one of those things that like sits in the back of my head that you're going to need to whip my ass back into shape eventually to let me finish that off because it's driving me nuts. So, but I was just your more kind of football, baseball, boxing, just kind of kid. And
what kind of injuries did you sustain in the military?
Mine were more just from everyday grunt work. I wasn't, thank God, in an explosion and then blow up in a truck. I didn't get shot, anything like that. But to give you an example, like before you leave, and a lot of people probably don't even know this. I don't even know if I'm supposed to say this. I don't really care. But before you leave, they have to get the weight of the whole entire plane to know, who's flying, how much gear they got to determine the speed and all that. They literally have you gear up and stand on a scale. So before we left, I was probably the best shape of my life. I was 180 pounds, just huge, good. I stood on the scale. I was over 300 pounds, just to give you that idea. Just gear. Now, that gear is on you almost 24/7. I mean, if you're a grunt and you're out in the field, that thing's your bib. It's on you 24/7. That vest alone probably weighs 50, 60 pounds. And you got ammo, you got water, and just, the terrain, the running, the jumping, the sleeping, the moving, just everything. It just, your back takes a toll, your neck, your shoulders, your hips, your head, just everything. And unfortunately, there's no, hey, doc, I need a quick adjustment in the field. Here's your adjustment. Here's some ibuprofen and change your socks, because that's what they told us all the time. Why, I don't know, but that was the ongoing Marine Corps. Yeah, change your socks, foot powder, I think, and then ibuprofen. But when I came home, it was like every day, like I couldn't sleep. I couldn't get out of bed. I had to be pushed out of bed. Like it was just, my body was like locking up and I couldn't unlock it. Alcohol was making it worse. The pills were making it worse. CBD started loosening me up. I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. Got into marijuana, got into smoking, and here we are. So it's changed my life literally. I've had migraines every day for 10 years, and it's helped me substantially lower that, which is huge.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And what kind of shape would you say you're in now?
I'm in like I could still fight phase, but for not too long. Like,
right.
As far as my body goes, like my head, my back, they're better. Like I tried to get back in the gym about a month ago. I was going good for 2 weeks. I'm like, this is great. I feel good. Bent over to pick up a dirty diaper and threw my back right out, fell right on my face. So I haven't been back since. So I'm that guy that I need to get back in the gym and I want to, but every time I go back, whether I go light, heavy, or medium, or A, B, C, D, I am somehow always throwing my back out, and it just deters me from going back to the gym. So I'm sure there's a lot of guys out there that are unfortunately seeing what I am.
Yeah, that's why I asked you the question, because you know, in the military, you're not supposed to talk about that type of stuff.
Oh yeah,
you know,
just suck it up.
Suck it up. Yeah, exactly. That's the whole thing is to suck it up, and you don't hear many vets after they get out even discussing what condition their body's in.
Oh yeah.
You know, whether they be too concerned with their mental state, so that's a secondary thing.
Yep.
But you just don't hear it. So I think just the fact that you're so open about it is awesome, because people watching this who are in, they'll be able to relate. And then
the VA keeps you pretty drugged up when you get back pretty quick, of just kind of scripts. So you're pretty like zombie mode for a little bit, and it's that point once that wears off and they don't prescribe you anymore, and now you're hooked. It's like, okay, I'm screwed. What the hell do I do now? So,
and how does that work? They just decide, like, after you've taken it.
Yeah, it was kind of when the whole pandemic, or the whole thing with pills and everything, and Oxycontin, the whole thing kind of took off. I was in like that kind of starting phase where they just started writing scripts because they didn't care. They just knew, oh, your back hurts. Yeah, take this, take that. Oh, that didn't work. Take more of this, take more of that. It was just, it's just easy for them to kind of, I call it zombie you out. Just, get you in here, get you out of here all jacked up on pain pills and get you out of here. But it's a tough process. And then you try to talk to them about like, doc, let me back up. Here's the one thing that they don't tell you about painkillers is people that are hooked on them are severely constipated, like bad. And this is, laugh about it, but it like, you don't go to the bathroom for 4 or 5 days. That is one of the things that made me stop. I'm like, I can't handle this. Like, this is horrendous. But so like you go to the VA and tell them, hey, doc, this is what's going on. I've heard about cannabis or this. And they're like, oh no, I can't talk about that. But anyway, just try this, and this. And there you go, back to the pharmacy. It's just a repetitive motion that you have to, unfortunately, I say grab your castañas and break the chain, but you have to stand up and break the chain, or you're just going to continue down that road and it's not going to stop.
Wow, that's very interesting. And how about you, Missy? What kind of condition were you in before you guys met and hooked up and became parents and all of that stuff? What kind of shape?
When I first met him, I was definitely in an insecure eating disorder, extreme exercise place. When I first met him, then I started loosening up because I was in love, and you kind of, go into that phase when you first meet someone, whether, you have an eating disorder or not. I feel like that happens to a lot of us because we're just happy. And then, I just feel as though my whole life I've been struggling with my weight. And then, as I got older and when I met him, it definitely was starting to get at its worst. But I didn't think it was my worst because prior to that, I was, fully bulimic and puking all the time, but finally had stopped. And so, when I'm in this great fitness, eating healthy, but it's because I'm not eating much at all, phase, I definitely kind of lost myself, and then have been going through that throughout our relationship, up until now. But I feel as though I had tried every diet between keto since I've been with him. I've gotten into, extreme, exercise, like I said, which got into cycling, which also evolved into me, cycling twice a day, and then learning that wasn't healthy, and getting into weightlifting because we're learning, we need to be lifting more, and then learning, macros. And I got into macros, and, that became an OCD addiction, which then flared up all my past stuff that I was finally feeling like I was healing. But I think I was just covering that shit up with other diets and other ways that made me feel, in shape or thin. But it really wasn't solving the problem until, I got pregnant with Jackson and I gained 100 pounds. And
Not figuratively, literally,
I gained 100 pounds.
And I say that in her, like, good job on her, which is crazy because people say, oh, I gained 100 pounds. No, like, she gained 100 pounds and lost it.
It was literally to the dot. I was at my unhealthiest at 136, super thin, like very scary thin. And I still didn't think I was thin, which is the sad part, or I didn't think I was fit. Being 236 pounds and just had a baby, and now, struggling with the fact that I didn't puke during my pregnancy. I, overate and binged throughout my pregnancy. I over-exercised on top of that. I can't even explain to you what it felt like to be that unhealthy, but also carrying a baby and thinking, you're supplementing it with fitness. It made me a hot mess. And then I lost about 30 or 40 pounds within, 3 or 4 months. And then we had gotten pregnant with Gavin. And I gained that 50 pounds right back and got myself right to 236 again. And, it was wild. It was weird. It was a mind game that whole fucking time. And I struggled with my pregnancy. I puked every day with my pregnancy. I didn't enjoy pregnancy. And I think that's because I struggled with an eating disorder really bad throughout that. And I didn't save myself before that.
Because I have an idea about this question, because the eating disorders, that's like the big secret in fitness. If you're in the fitness game for a while, you realize that a large percentage of the aerobics instructors have eating disorders and are actually teaching 8 or 9 classes a day just to allow them to binge. Wow. And people don't really talk about that in this industry. But I wanted to ask you, because what percentage do you think of fitness and aerobic instructors have eating disorders, would you say, based on your experience, and you actually haven't lived it? Because this is something that never gets spoken about in the
I have never met a person who is a fitness instructor or a fitness trainer that is completely healed or doesn't have an eating disorder. Never in my life. I have never met a fucking person.
So you're saying 100%?
100%.
100% of the people that's fascinating. That's interesting. And a lot of people don't talk about that. And again, I commend both of you on your candor, because that allows people to maybe address some of the issues that they're having, because everybody looks at fitness people as actually fit, but it was interesting.
We're not up here.
Yeah, I would see all of these aerobics instructors teaching classes. I did maybe 10 years in Bally's, and then another 5 or 6 years working in Reebok Sports Club after that. And I would look at these majority female instructors, and I would talk to them. I'm like, damn, how many classes are you teaching a day? And they'd be like, I'm teaching 10 classes a day. And, back then you had to do every class. And then I would just be doing the math in my head. I'd be like, well, shit, she's doing 10 classes a day. How could her body fat be so high? You would have to be eating thousands of tens of thousands of calories. And then that's when I put it together. I'm like, fuck. She's got to be binging. There's no way. Yeah. And then using the fitness just to regulate. And I think that's something that really doesn't get touched, even less than the veteran addiction. You hear that more than you actually hear about the fitness eating disorders. So that's an interesting thing I'd like you to talk about and address as well, because no one hears about that. And when I do tell people that, they're shocked. They're like,
Yeah.
what?
Like I said, I feel like a lot of us, we end up morphing into whatever we know. Like, I feel like we're all past the fad diet stuff, or at least most of us are, but we fall into, whatever's going on in the fitness industry when it comes to nutrition. I've seen so many of us evolve, whether, it's exact meal planning or, having it delivered to your house or, doing your macros to the exact number, or like I said, keto or intermittent fasting, or we've all taken these and gone to the extreme to them. Like I said, I've talked to so many fitness instructors, and at least 99 to 100% of them have said they have done one of those things, right? And we all know that at some point when you go to the extreme with those things, it's unhealthy. And exactly. And most of the time, those people that I'm talking to, that is what they've healed themselves with. That's, like I said, when you go to the extreme, like me, who, I was puking every single meal up, from the time I was, I don't know, like 17 years old till, I still struggle. Not on a day-to-day by any means now, but it's still a part of my life. And so, all these things ended up being better to me and to my body, that it just seemed easier and better. And I was doing something healthy, and it wasn't me having an addiction to anything, because we all think these are healthy things and we haven't seen anyone really struggle with these things. That I just feel as though no one's ever going to be healed by these things. And so many of us are addicted to it, especially in the health industry.
I feel like we all have our addictions. You just got to learn how to tame them.
Yeah,
you're always addicted to something, whether it's
real.
cigarettes, shitty food, whatever.
For sure. I don't even think you need to be in the fitness industry. When I'm looking back into my life and, healing myself from, certain generational things, it doesn't have to say, my mom and dad were horrible people by any means. That's not what I'm saying. They just taught me what they learned and what they evolved from. And what they wanted to do better for us, right? So, the things that my mom taught me from what she learned of being, a child in Colombia, in a third world country, and, evolving, what her family and what she was brought up with to what I learned, I'm understanding, like, my mom had eating disorders. She still struggles with shit. I struggle with shit. Oh, I'm learning my grandmother, thinking about things, struggled with stuff on my father's side, my dad. Now, like, I'm noticing, like, all these things are actually happening. And that's not just my family. I look back into going to dinner at other families' houses, like my friends growing up, or, other family members or whatever. And I'm learning, all of us have these generational things in our heads. It could be anything from you must finish your plate.
Yeah,
I was taught that.
Italian. You eat till you puke.
Yeah.
If your grandmother or your nana said, "Hey, do you want more?" and you said no, it's like that was insulting. And you just ate to make her happy. Like, oh my God.
But then your papa's going to tell you that you got a little chunky this winter. It's just a thing.
It's just how they were
and
raised.
So it's just like a fucking mind game in our heads.
As you're saying all of this stuff, I'm like, yeah, that's what my mom used to say. Finish your plate, even if I was full.
Ate it all.
These are all things.
And then go have a cigarette after. Like,
and they thought they were doing the good thing, but that's all they knew.
All they knew. I'm not mad at them. It's just what it was. Like, I'm not doing
what's your relationship with food now? Like, what are you eating, Missy? How do you do it? Like, how's it working?
I'm not gonna lie. I had a breaking point when Jackson was actually in the hospital a year ago.
We had to go like old cool Marine Corps boot camp on her. It was like a blessing in disguise. She was trapped in a hotel with me while this happened.
No, in the hospital.
Or no, sorry, not hotel. She's in a hospital. And she couldn't get out. And it was just like, there was a couple bad days where she would not eat, and we dealt with it. And then slowly but surely she kind of came back. So it was like a hard
I had
love
lost
type thing,
myself with the bulimia after that, after having the babies, when I was stressed out with Jackson. You know, Gavin was just in the hospital. All of that built up inside of me. And I felt as though that was my only release and the only thing I've had control over at that time. And, you know, I puked up blood. And at that moment, I scared the shit out of myself, because prior to that, I had promised myself I would never do this stuff again. But there was something in me that pushed me, and you know, it is what it is. And so I communicated that with Derek. I wanted to get help, and we were talking about it. But at the time then, Jackson was starting to, you know, start showing signs of infection in his eye. And then, you know, we're jumping into the hospital. And like he said, you know, it was a blessing in disguise. And he saw me not eat for days in there, and then slowly eat something, and then slowly eat something else. And then, you know,
the one point, your breaking point, this kind of just remembered, is when the nurse looked at you, and I kept telling him, like, Miss, you look like shit. Like, and this is my tough love with her. She understands how I am. I'm like, Miss, you don't look good. Like, you're not hiding this anymore. This is now a physical problem, and the whole world sees it. We had a nurse come in. Didn't you almost pass out? I think she stood up and almost blacked out. The nurse was like, honey, what's wrong with you? You're okay? And I told her, I said, she's not eating. And the lady, I think, had a pep talk with her or something. I don't know what she did, but it was like a blessing in disguise that, like, you know, everything got on track. But it was bad. She was at the point she was standing up and passing out. Yeah. And I literally looked at her and I'm like, Miss, like, it's hitting you in the face. Literally. I don't know you're knocking on the fucking door right now. Like, we couldn't have been in a better spot.
But since
how about you, Derek? How are you with food?
I eat like shit. I eat like my 2-year-old kid. But I'm one of those dudes that I fortunately can eat whatever I want, whenever I want. And as long as I don't just sit still, I won't get fat.
Which is a fucking struggle to live with.
I'm that guy.
I hate people like that. Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah, but the insides of me probably look like shit. So that's the other problem. You know what I mean? It's like, actually,
you don't get the telltale warning sign because.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I've had some things like the stress and the way I was eating, like my hair started coming out. And I was like, holy shit, I'm literally losing my hair. Now that we've changed our course in life, that's not happening anymore. What a shocker. But literally the stuff that's inside of you just rotting comes out through your skin. It comes out in your head, my migraines, your emotions, your mood, your everything. Yeah. Literally. And it was just like, I know now, like, I can't eat too much shit because it'll trigger a migraine. And for me, I'm taking my meds. I'm going to take a 4-hour nap. I'm going to throw up. Like, it's a whole process that I don't want to go down. So I'm actually pretty good at cutting myself off with, like, hey, you know, we're stoners. We get the munchies. If I'm pounding ice cream, I'm like, all right, I have that shut off valve. Thank God. But I think that's also kind of helped her to go, okay, he's done. I'm done. Like, kind of just shut it off, throw it out. I'm done. But I got to eat better. I got a water here. It's sparkling water, but
yeah, no. I mean,
I don't know.
It's evolved for both of us because, like I said, I ended up getting therapy and understanding, you know, what it feels like to be full and not you could talk to your therapist, and she told me you don't have to finish your plate, even though I've always learned that and always had that stuck in my head. So just understanding those types of things allowed me to get into just eating until I felt full and eating the things, you know, that I wanted, and understanding, you know, the woman's body, because that's a hot fucking mess as well. And then, you know, with him, like you said, just him wanting to eat a little bit healthier definitely made it a little bit easier. Us having less bullshit in the house. I don't know what it is, but it's like when you have the munchies back, you know, it becomes a thing. So it's
bad
just
habits. Like we're talking about it. You can have good habits, bad habits. We're living in a hospital. I mean, we're eating hospital food, DoorDash 3 times a day, you know, vending machines. Like I had a migraine every day. I felt fucking horrible. I actually threw up in the hospital a couple of times now that I think about it. That's how bad the inside of me was. But you got to literally, again, look yourself in the face and change it.
And how about a therapy for you, Derek? Was it helpful? Did you find that it helped you, or did you just?
I've got I talk about like therapy in general, or
Yeah. Like your experiences. I'm sure you've had a couple of different
Oh, I've
experiences.
been through every therapist, psychologist, psychiatrist. From my parents were divorced when I was 15, so they kind of force you into counseling, and I just started off with a horrible experience, and it just went from there. I found that me talking to somebody right now doesn't necessarily work for me, because unless you've been there with me, understand it, like I'm kind of just wasting my time and your time, and no due respect. But if you can't vibe or understand what I'm talking about, I don't want to, get into it. But I've personally found that, and I just started doing this about a week ago. The therapy for me was smoking and kind of calming down, but I have personally gotten more into the kind of psychedelic area with Missy. And we're not, eating mushrooms, walking around the house with our kids, but for therapy, like microdosing and actually,
right,
and taking a trip and having that come to Jesus meeting with yourself and saying, hey, you need to let your ego go. There's actually a place out here in Vegas called Desert Ketamine Clinic. And I'm doing this myself because I will never recommend anything to anybody unless I do it. And she's the same way, where they use ketamine legally to get rid of anxiety, depression, eating disorders, chronic pain. I mean, everything. I did this a week ago, and when I tell you this was an experience I've never experienced in my life, it was wild. But it's like 6 different treatments, and it's essentially supposed to go into your brain and just kind of, hit the reset button, kind of, okay, reset.
And it works.
I will tell you, the day after I did it, like I was thinking clear, and this is no bullshit. If it was garbage, I tell you, like I felt clearer. I was thinking clearer. I could, just do things a lot better, and I felt better. You could feel it wear off after a couple of days, but that's why you have to continuously go to do it. And then I think it's like you go once a month after that,
and then it just phases off, or you can go, however you feel.
But that therapy for me, like it was the first time my brain has literally just stopped. Like I didn't think, I don't even know how to explain it. I literally watched a turtle swim for like 2 hours on a TV, and it was just the best thing in the world. That it just shut your brain off. And for me, when I came out of it, I was like, okay, this is what peace is. This is what quiet feels like. It's okay. I'm here. Like it was that was my therapy for me. Me talking to somebody doesn't really do it. Maybe talking to somebody afterwards might help, but everybody's different.
And how about you, Missy? What was your experience in therapy? Did you find it beneficial, or did you find the inner journey more effective?
I definitely think that me getting I want to say over that extreme hump of some generational things that I talked about with my therapist that, started making things click for me, allowed me to like kind of heal myself, and talking through things with her. And then at the same time, I was also realizing, as I'm mending myself and talking about, these things, all these other amazing things were happening in my life, because I was freeing up my mind of the bullshit and allowing my mind to manifest and evolve and grow and change and learn based on, what I was learning through therapy, or what I wanted to change, or how I wanted to grow. That, like I was saying, like that's when, pothead parents started coming to me, and what I wanted to do with it, and how I, wanted to help the community more with this. And then talking to Derek more about it. And then I started, really diving in with certain things with my therapist, and she just allowed me to, I don't know, like she didn't guide me in any way, but it was like she was like lighting the way, even though I knew where I was going. Do you know what I'm saying? It was just such a way of me self-realizing things by just throwing things at her. It gave me a soundboard. It allowed me to have someone to just talk freely to. I'm not someone who could just journal shit down. I wasn't that person. Me and him are yin and yang. He is that strict, to the point, rough and tough, which helps a lot of times for me, and I need that shit sometimes, but I'm the emotional one. I'm, the one who needed someone to talk back with me on what I was feeling and how I was feeling and the ideas I was having. So therapy for me, I just feel though, is when you find that right person, because I've gone to therapists before and I've gone once and never gone back, or felt like I am a crazy person to them. Or, I've gotten help or tried to get help in the past for my bulimia, and, well, why are you acting that way? You're so beautiful. I thought you'd be much bigger than that. Like, what?
Wow. Interesting. Wow.
And that's in college. And that's something that stuck with me. And it was just like, oh, okay. Like, I guess that's how I'm supposed to think about this, So it's like, I've been through so many shitty things that have fucked me up more, that it was amazing to have finally found someone. And it sucked, because I had to be at my fucking worst and feel at my fucking worst with that one piece of me that is still haunting me and I still need to fix fully. And I feel as though when I do that to another level, that's going to take me to another level at life. And that's going to bring new manifestations and new goals and new things for us to grow on and evolve on and do in our relationship as parents and as now business owners. So a lot of that has to do with this. It's,
our new therapy is this, helping other people through ourselves. We be bigger and fight every day, just like everybody else does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like real people.
For me, my therapy, I've been to therapy, with different therapists in and out. Even I have one of my clients, James, this was his name, many, many years ago. And he was like, dude, why don't, I have the best therapist in New York. Why don't, instead of me paying you for the sessions, I'll pay the therapist and you go to therapy. And I was like, damn, am I that fucked up that actually this... The client was like, yo, you need to go to therapy. So, I took him up on it. And, I'm in the therapy and, we're doing the sessions. I'm training the guy. And, after like a week or two, he's like, dude, I could help you if you told a bit of a truth, if you told like 1% of something that was honest. But if you're going to sit here and bullshit, you're not going to work past your issues. So, not only do you have to have the right therapist, but you actually have to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the hardest part for me, is just being honest about what I was going. Because as a guy and prior military, you're always internalizing. You don't want to show any weakness.
Yeah, it's an ego problem.
Yeah, that was the barrier. Yeah, exactly. It was the ego. That was the biggest barrier for me getting any benefit out of therapy. So it's interesting how each person has a different take on therapy and what's actually therapeutic. But I wanted to ask, when did you move to Nevada? Like, how did that decision happen?
About 2 months ago. So we were in Buffalo for, I'm going to be 35. She's 33? Been there for 30 plus years. But after pretty much just what we talked about, we had this conversation of, okay, let's see if we can make this work and figure it out. And we literally put our house on the market. I quit my job of 12 plus years. Everybody was like, did you guys murder people? Are you on the run? Did you like bury somebody in your backyard? We just took off, said, I'm out. Like,
why'd you pick Nevada?
A couple of reasons. Our publicist, Barbara, is in LA. So for her to be in LA, for us to be in Buffalo, like, you can really only do so much. The commitment's there, but for us to be, committed to, for example, like to come meet you, to come here to talk to you, like we would never be able to do this in New York, working 40 hours a week. So we wanted to be closer to her, but we also know that Vegas is a very up and coming cannabis market right now for everything: dispensaries, education, retail, consumption lounges are opening. Like, everything is happening out here.
But it's in that toddler stage, I feel like, where New York, where we were,
there's nothing in New York.
It's in its infancy. We're recreationally legal. We could smoke wherever you could smoke cigarettes, but you can't buy it anywhere unless you have a card, and it's medicinal. So, we weren't going to be able to talk to the people that we needed to. And at that time, I was talking to some really amazing people in the industry who were responding back and loving my idea of what Pothead Parent is and what it's going to be and how we want to educate and how we want to collaborate with other small businesses and work with, our legacy cannabis dealers and people who have been at this their whole entire fucking lives. And there are some people that are still in fucking jail for this shit. So it's like we, with the Last Prisoner Project, right away, one of the co-founders spoke to me and, it was me just plugging away emails, random fucking calls, messaging on Instagram, looking up whose aunties, sisters, brother's uncle is related to this guy, and trying to make those connections and not fucking stopping is what got us to this point of us meeting Barbara through, one of her partners, Carmen, who heard me and read my message randomly and who has hundreds of thousands of followers. And I just threw shit at the walls and explained to her where my heart was and what more was going to come. That's all this is. It's just manifesting and creating what we can. And Vegas was the perfect place for us, especially with the boys and especially with us having a family and especially because California is in its teenage stage. I feel like it's way beyond. And same with Colorado. That wasn't going to work for us either. And, with Vegas, there's constantly conferences and people we can network and meet and talk to and create relationships with.
Right. And plus with California too, I mean, you got Camp Pendleton that's like half the size of California. That the base is huge. That you've got guys literally going, okay, here, see ya. Thanks for going to war. Good luck. Like I would rather be right there for them to go, okay, here we are. How do I transition? So I mean, those are our people. It's, they're military people and I run into them in the store every single day, which is weird for my brain to reset to that kind of time in my life. I'm like, some Air Force dude in front of me. This is weird. Like New York, you don't see that kind of stuff, but it was just, you got to be in the right set and setting, which is for cannabis, for mushrooms and for life. Like you can only do so much, 2,500 miles away, 3,000 miles away. It's just, this was a huge opportunity for us. We sold our house. We rented a 4x8 U-Haul and took our 3,200 square foot house down to 40 square feet.
Our forever home that we thought was forever.
Yeah, packed it up, sold off everything. And here we are.
You got to do things to the fullest to make shit happen.
Yeah, now, again, that's easier said than done. And everybody could be like, oh, they did this and had that. I don't care. We're all people. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. But the one thing I always say is you're not going to do it unless you do it. Like you can sit here and talk about it all. Oh, that'd be cool. Well, until you actually say, fuck it, I'm doing it. You're never going to do it.
Right. And it's not just wishing it either. It's Derek who was able to grind his ass off at work constantly so that I could be home with the kids and coming up with ideas and working and doing all these different things. He was able to get us our forever home, and it's from him working, and it just created an opportunity for us to do this, to pick up our shit, to grab our kids and to move and to make this investment in ourselves.
That's dope. And I love the way you guys balance each other. You really complement each other. You can see.
Oh, that's why we're getting bickers all the time. It's like we're almost too much of the same person, but we are very good at the yin and yang type thing.
We're so different, but it works.
Yeah, but that's perfect because you balance each other. You both have something
absolutely.
that each of you lack. So that that's the making of a great couple.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much.
Yeah, it's nice to see. But before we keep on going, I just want to give Barbara Sanchez a shout out because she's my publicist as well, and she connected us. And speaking of Grindr, as soon as you say Grindr, I said, what? Let me just take a second out to to shout Barbara out, the ultimate Grindr. Barbara, we appreciate you. Thanks for connecting us. Now let's keep going.
Thanks, Barbara.
Let's talk about thank you, Barbara. Appreciate you. Let's talk about the touring dispensaries.
Yeah, that's been one of our main focuses. Like when we come out here, again, we're people. I don't know where to go. I pull open an app and I go, okay, I'm here, and you find out what's around you. And we've been to some really good top-notch dispensaries. We've been to some dispensaries where the bud tender, I think, was on more than weed. And I was just like, okay, I'm all set here. Won't recommend this place, but I have to, like, right off the bat, you know, kind of get the good vibe off of it. But we were just at Jade yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday, we actually had the opportunity to meet Jim Belushi, which is awesome. Oh, wow. Yeah. So Jade just opened like 15 minutes from where we are. It's the closest dispensary to us, but that's what we do. We went there. I'm like, oh, haven't been here yet. And there's a flyer right on the desk that says, hey, our grand opening's on Saturday. Went down there on Saturday, met with Jim, talked with him, met a couple local people, and it's
checking out all the different products that they have.
Just supporting everybody, helping each other with, like, if you've got papers or you've got edibles or you've got flour or whatever it may be, or you sell cards, whatever it is just, helping that community. Yeah,
the cannabis community isn't just, flower and bongs. It's so much more. And it's everything and anything from, like I was saying, being able to drink it if you're someone who doesn't want to smoke and, someone who's in, fitness like we are, like we're conscious of those things. So, being able to do something like that, or being able to sit in a bath and have a bath bomb and relax and know that you're getting it transdermal through your skin.
I've done that before. Yeah.
We'll hook you up.
We'll hook you up. We'll send you a bath bomb. But it's like, being able to find those companies that aren't just the big, huge businesses and corporations, the little guys, the people who have been doing this, forever, the legacy, owners of these small businesses who are making these bath bombs, who are, making these beverages, and they're quality product and they're real and there's no added chemical of any sort or anything. Like I said, we just want to be able to share what is out there, from everything and anything to meeting the pot brothers at law.
Cool. Yeah.
And helping people who may have gotten pulled over because
legal trouble, how to have it, what happens if you get pulled over, tell the cops to shut the fuck up, not discussing my day, like things you can say that you don't even know you can say to not get yourself in trouble. Because let's be honest, I mean, everybody at one point is driven drunk, driven stoned, driven on pills, driven on something.
Little buzz,
and
whatever.
There's very rare percentage that is not driven on something in their life.
That's a fact.
I mean, you get pulled over that one day and you go, oh, fuck, like I'm screwed. You got to know what to do. You got to know where to go, especially if you're from the East Coast. If you're coming out to California or Vegas to visit, and you just got done smoking and you get pulled over because it stinks in your car and you're like, I don't know where I am. What am I doing? Who do I call? It's, what I mean? We're trying to every avenue we can to get the correct information to the right people of, hey, we're coming out here. What do I do?
Right.
Interesting. What's your long-term goal for your business? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years? I mean, I would love to have a standard show where it's hundreds of thousands of people or 1 million followers listening in that we just tune in every single day. And they're like, all right, let's see what they're up to, just to keep spreading the knowledge. Me personally, I would love to have again, this isn't a perfect world. This may not even happen 5 years, it might be 50 years with the way the government is.
But we're going to manifest that shit.
But yes, is to open a dispensary where it's for veterans only, where they come in with a card and they get free cannabis, they get free CBD. There'll be a pharmacy in there to turn in your painkillers, your heroin, crack, whatever it is. I don't care. We'll take it. That's my goal. And people listening to this go, oh yeah, that'll never happen. Right now, yeah, it won't happen because people are naive and being dumb. But eventually it will happen because people are just dying off at the rapid rate like this. And that's maybe what they want. I don't know. But it's a very bad issue. And it's now coming to the surface that there's a serious problem.
Yeah.
And if this was just legalized federally, I mean, you have a whole different ballpark.
I'm more of, like I said, the big idea person. I'm the one that, thinks big and sets our goals at the highest, because if you don't, I mean, I don't know. You just got to go for it. And with us, I mean, cannabis is a revolution. Things are changing in this world. I say this shit all the fucking time. Schools, religion and churches, government, our media, all of these things are creating this chaos around us. And it's not just in this country, it's all over the world, right? And so it's like, we are noticing how cannabis is healing ourselves on an individual level, and have seen how cannabis is helping and healing others. And, you know, hemp is creating insulation for people's homes, or, you know, it's cheaper than cotton and better for the environment than cotton. There's all these things that cannabis brings to the table.
It's not just
that
jobs,
right? That it's like this. Us pothead parent, we are not just targeting, you know, other moms and dads only. We're not just targeting vets like Derek. We are not targeting, you know, just the kids who are just getting into drinking and maybe not liking it and wanting to start to get into psychedelics because they feel like it's more natural and healthier. We are not just for those people. We are for fucking everybody. We want to be the parents who are guiding and helping everybody who is interested or wanting to know more, because cannabis is healing children as well with, you know, cancer and illnesses. And that is what this is. It's much more.
That's dope. That's dope. What are you guys doing community outreach wise for the vets right now, Derek?
That's what I'm trying to start. I mean, right now, again, I'm no bullshit. We just got here and I don't have anything. I'm just researching kind of what's around here and the actual places, because you'll have places where a lot of people go and other places people that don't go. But I want to do whatever I can. If it's going there and just give these guys free stuff, or just go in there and shoot the shit with them, talk to them, take them back here, or get a cup of coffee, something, but just give them the information they're not going to get from the VA. And honestly, it's not like guys my age or even guys your age. It's, I mean, you got some old guys out there that are like crippled that I know for a fact, if they took even just CBD, not even weed or THC,
better, right?
Oh, it changed your whole entire life, just inflammation, arthritis, and everything. But it's just
for my athletic performance, I can't, you know, it definitely the CBD, you know, and I spend so much money on supplements to take inflammation down, and the CBD is so much less expensive, and you get so much better of an effect. And I don't think a lot of people are aware of that. You know, I got a cabinet of shit just for inflammation that doesn't work as good as the CBD drops.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, tell me if I'm wrong, but there's a lot of professional bodybuilders that, I mean, have cannabis in their regular, like,
look, diet. Most bodybuilders smoke. You know, I was surprised because I recently started my jujitsu journey.
Oh, cool.
And I would go to like one of the, I don't want to air anybody out because they may not want to, you know, but I went to one of the top places, and, you know, I would go there every day, and all of the guys would be right in front of the spot smoking up, or right before they get on the mat, you know, because it helps with the inflammation. It prevents injuries, as they told me. And they're more in, you know, jiu-jitsu, I think, is one of the most cerebral martial arts, because you really have to think.
Oh, it's a chess game. Yeah. Allows your mind to just,
you have to be calm, you know, and the calming effect you get from using CBD and cannabis enables these guys to be better jiu-jitsu practitioners. So, that, you know, that alone, the NBA, forget about it. We don't have to talk about that. Most of those guys. That's a no-brainer. So a lot of people are not aware of how much athletes rely on cannabis to enhance their athletic performance, for sure.
I mean, not to even mention CTE. Like, I mean, this stuff could probably prevent a good amount of it, if not at least help with it. Instead, they just keep shooting these dudes up with shit. It's like, when is this going to stop? Like, I would rather watch a guy smoke a blunt on the sideline during a Bills game than them going to their tent and have it get covered. Like, what do you think we think's going on in there? We're not stupid. Like, come on now. But that shit's just, these guys are 30s and they're beat up bad. Like, they're torn to shit.
Yeah, well, a big problem, you know, I think the biggest problem with that is that, you know, the government, the system profits off of the illness of the Americans. You know,
they have the cure and the, what did they say? The cure and the problem and the fix. But again, until they can figure out how to suck, you know, all the money out of cannabis, it's going to be illegal.
They're just waiting to be ahead of the game of what they need to be in order.
Again, my argument with anybody I've ever spoken to is it has never killed anybody. When it does, there will be one person that has died ever. I mean, how many people probably died of alcohol overdose or heroin overdose since we've been talking for the last hour?
You know, alcoholism withdrawal is the only one that you can die from, if I'm not correct. That's the only one that you can actually. I'm not
100%. Again, I'm no doctor.
I've trained a couple of doctors, and they were like, you know, alcohol withdrawal is the only one where you can die from kicking. That you can actually.
It's advertised everywhere. You buy booze everywhere. Vegas,
and that's legal. It's crazy to me.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like they want you to do it. It's just, and that day will come eventually when it's legal federally. They have no choice because everybody is just Vermont, I think, just legalized it 2 days ago or yesterday.
Yeah.
They're all legalizing. They're not going to have a choice. I mean, Canada, we were 15 minutes from Canada when we lived in Buffalo. The whole entire country is legal. And you got New York down here. It's like, guys, seriously, like, what are we doing here? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
What, oh yeah. If people want to get at you, how can they contact you, man, right now?
The easiest way for us is on Instagram at Pothead Parent. We're on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Facebook. What else am I forgetting? Pretty much all your major platforms.
And then
email us.
We also have a website, and it's potheadparent.com.
Yeah. So we got a bunch of like our favorite stuff on there. We have merch on there, like hats and shirts and stuff. But like, pipes that we like, bongs we like, papers, stuff like that. But eventually we're going to have more like, videos of us interacting on how-tos and kind of stuff like that. So
yeah. And I also do want to say that we do have a link so that you can donate right through there to the Last Prisoner Project as well.
And look into them too. They're
what's that about? Last Prisoner
the
Project?
condensed version is they get people out of prison that are in there for marijuana charges while we're all out here talking about it. And I'm going to go smoke a blunt 5 minutes after we talk about this. These guys are in jail for 5 years, life, 10 years, and they've been ruined. Their family's ruined. It's just, it's disgusting. So that money's donated to get those guys out of prison. We've actually, get in that later, but we had an honor of meeting a gentleman that was actually released from prison because of them, and he's one of the nicest dudes I've ever met in my life. He's actually a fellow jarhead too. So, but it's pretty wild. So they do some very good stuff, but check them out too.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, definitely the marijuana incarcerations, they've been devastating to the Black community more than any other community.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Absolutely.
Great. So that's definitely, I'm appreciative of what you're doing there.
Shit's got to change.
Yeah, it's got to change, man. Did we hit everything? Is there anything else you want to cover before we close it out? Anything you want to shout out? I think we covered a broad. Oh, I want to know. I got a question. How's Derek's salesperson game when he sold you the car? How'd that go down? Was he good?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't even remember this. How did this go down?
How this went down? I know it to a T. He, I was in actually Peru randomly. I end up meeting him when I come home because I needed a car. He sold me the car. Then the next day, I wanted my dad to see it and everything. My dad sees it. He likes it because this is my very first car. I'm getting a loan. This is a big deal.
I met my future father-in-law. I didn't even know.
Yeah. And so I'll never forget. So my dad even said, he goes, "That's the kind of guy you should be marrying." I'll never fucking forget.
Wow.
I'm telling you, everything comes around.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But,
and like,
how was he? How did he do it? Did he walk you around? Was it smooth? Did he show you all the options?
Oh, he showed me the car and everything, but he was like engaged, and I was in a committed relationship as well. And so it was
straight business.
It really was. He was really sweet and really nice. And then it wasn't until, 5, 6, 7, 8 years later, he slid into my DMs some random way and showed me a cool watch he had. And I asked him if he got it.
I think I was drunk. This is why I don't drink.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. It was like in the middle of the day too.
Yeah. He slid right in and we started chatting. And
here
we are. We met face to face and literally we were like, it's so dorky. We're best friends.
And now you're at your 5-year anniversary, you said?
Yeah, coming up in 2 weeks. So 5 years, and then we got 2 beautiful boys. And knock on wood, I don't plan it anymore. So
you guys are done. You no more kids. You're done.
That's the plan right now. I got to make that appointment to get a
close. So I'm gonna do it soon if he doesn't get that shit scheduled.
I knew Lorena Bobbitt on your hands over here.
And I got one more. What about I keep hearing so much about ayahuasca.
It's funny because I almost did something like that. It's ayahuasca and then ibogaine. I guess they're kind of around the same. Like they apparently say one is ibogaine's better for males, ayahuasca is better for females. I've never done it. This is just what I've heard, but I actually talked to the doctor at the ketamine clinic about this, and he said it's a very dark experience. Like I've heard it's like a come to Jesus experience. Like you see everything bad that you don't want to. But I've also heard that you should follow it up with, I guess it's like 3-DMT, which apparently you take after that, which is supposed to give you all the answers to all the bad shit you saw. I've never done that. For me right now, I think that's too intense for me. That's why I'm doing the therapy that I'm doing now, and it's working pretty. Actually, to go tomorrow at noon. So
when I was in Peru, there were some guys that were in, because I went during college, and there were some guys that were in the school that I was in, and they did the Inca Trail and then went and did ayahuasca out in the rainforest. And I'll never forget them coming back and talking about it, and it being a very enlightening moment for them. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm huge hippie. I like all that kind of stuff. I loved the ketamine treatment that we did. That I would definitely be interested in doing that.
What's the ketamine treatment?
what was that?
What's the cost on that? Is it very expensive?
It depends. You can get a mask, you can get a shot, or an IV, which is good because don't mind the tattoos. I hate needles in me, and if I'm that jacked up and I see a needle, I'm gonna tweak. So I did the gas mask. She just did the shot. It's like $400 or $500 every time you go. It's not cheap, but again, I've at the point where I've done everything.
Right. We spend all this money on other fucking garbage.
Yeah, like,
we need to realize that we need to like put money into our health, and that goes like all around mental health as well.
Your brain's not clean. It's the rest of your body.
Yeah. And we've all been through some fucking shit with this COVID stuff and all the stuff in the last couple of years, and everyone is stressed out. Suicide rates are at their highest, like he said, and it's not just, you know, it's everybody.
It's everybody.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Everybody's gone through shit, and you know, I think these alternative forms of therapy are what's really missing. You know, you have to explore what system's going to work for you. And people listening to this who don't do drugs or never had any experience with drugs, they're going to be like, oh my God, they do this, they do that, they do that. Just take a look at how many drugs are in the food that you're consuming that you don't know about or don't care about, or as a doctor
Red 40 diet.
It's okay to take it. You just take it and don't even think about it. So I would encourage people who are watching this to have an open mind.
That's all we ask. You don't have to like us or want to do it, but just listen. That's it. Like I used to be a closed-minded person. You couldn't get. I was like cement, but the things again change, and brain's a crazy thing.
We all just need to evolve.
Hey, well, when you guys come back to LA so we can show?
We'll actually be there 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, a couple of weeks.
Yeah, definitely. Holler at me. Let's get together.
Yeah,
you know, definitely.
I would love that. We would love to see you.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Derek.
Thank
you so much for having us.
Thank you.
This was super informative for me, and I'm sure the viewers got a lot out of it. But
thank you again.
Thank you again for having us.
Oh yeah, stay on. I'm going to outro. Any last words? Any parting shots for entrepreneurs or anybody you want to reach? You got it. The forum's yours.
Go for it, babe.
Dan, just piece of advice. I mean, again, we're 60 days in. We are not famous, no millionaires, no nothing, but you want to start your own business, you got to do it. You can sit there and talk about it. You've just got to do it. If you say, well, I don't have this, I don't have that, figure it the fuck out. And if not, maybe it's not for you. And I mean that in the nicest way possible, but being an entrepreneur, you got to have that set of cojones to do it. So that's my piece of advice.
Cool. All right, fam, Anabolic Mind audience, go check out the Pothead Parents. They're in Nevada, 60 days. They need some support. They're out there helping the vets and helping other people with all types of disorders and ailments. So support my fam, Pothead Parents.